With the billionaires and the oligarchs and the racists and the Nazis and the mindless and stupid, ignorant and incompetent and greedy and powerful and the obsequious, timid, cowardly, servile, fawning toadies and syncophants in charge, ruling what's left of this country, this illusion of a country, this will culminate in catastrophe. But catastrophe doesn't happen with the snap of a finger. It's a process, and we are in the middle of it. And as horrible and violent and cataclysmic as it has been, it is not by any means the climax of the catastrophe. Try as I might, I can't see a satisfying resolution to the current state of affairs. It's not about Trump or Musk, though of course it is, but it's about bigger themes that have been left unattended for too long, and the fragmentation of any resistance that might have at one time been effective. Turns out the revolution has been televised. In fact, we have had a series of revolutions. COVID, the election of Trump, and now the fires. Not to mention the apocalyptic floods and drought, the extreme cold and heat, the mega hurricanes and tornadoes, the winds and earthquakes, which have literally remade society in ways we don't even fully know yet, more so than any riots or armed revolt. The west side of Los Angeles, Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, Santa Monica, Malibu, these are perceived, and rightly so, as the enclaves of the liberal elite, and now they have been gutted. That is a victory of sorts for the right. They have managed to destroy the liberal elite without firing a shot. So then the question becomes, and it has not been resolved yet, who is responsible for this conflagration, for this cataclysm that resulted in one conclusion? The destruction of liberalism, progressivism, inclusive thinking, and philosophy and beliefs in one fell swoop. Wealthy liberal celebrities were left scrambling to grab what valuables they could and head for safety, just like the Palestinian, Syrian, and Iraqi refugees we watch on our big screen TVs and think, damn, I'm glad that's not happening to me. This is disaster capitalism on a new level. Rather than destroying poor, desperate communities as we've done in Palestine and elsewhere, we tried something new. We are now destroying wealthy, affluent, privileged ones, but for the same reasons and with the same results. The corporations behind the power companies, behind the construction companies, and the home builders, and the real estate companies, and the insurance industry, and the politicians, they have seen this horror and this violence and this cataclysmic change and this climactic change and this climate change as an opportunity to rebuild these communities and profit from them. We have created a new homeless class in Los Angeles, already a bastion of homelessness, the wealthy homeless. But of course, every revolution has its victims, and they are always the same poor, the poverty-stricken and the working class poor, the undocumented, the persecuted victims, those barely hanging on as it is, who will now fall off the map of life in Los Angeles. Now, maybe those innocent people should not be in that position to begin with, but this is how they relied on feeding their children, paying their rent, and living some semblance of a normal life, and now that too has been violently removed. Think of the extreme right's goals in terms of immigration, in terms of deporting undocumented workers, in terms of stopping DEI and inclusion, and shutting down the wealthy liberal establishment. Then look what happened to the west side of Los Angeles. That has all been accomplished with a metaphorical match. Do you believe this was a big accident? You've already heard on the news how insurance companies and others have stopped using the term act of God because of its absurdity. We know at the very least there is no God to act. But then who did act? Or who didn't act? Because not acting is an act in itself. We heard arsonists get blamed. Teenagers get blamed. But we know from previous fires that the power companies, the home builders, the real estate companies, the insurance industry and others, and the corporations behind them are responsible. Who are they? Who owns them? Who controls them? It almost doesn't matter whether it's a purposeful act or not. An act of this size cannot be considered an accident. Ask yourself, who are the real arsonists in this scenario? And I think we know the answer.